just more and more smoke, leading to the fire that is Keegan Bradley being on this team as a player.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting it at this point. And, Keegan, he knows he can't play poorly in the playoffs. Like, he knows he needs to keep momentum going. And if he continues to play well, he's going to be on this team.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
Christopher Sanchez of the Philadelphia Phillies is one of 3 Major League Baseball pitchers to have a 7-start span featuring an undefeated record, a sub-1.5 ERA, 50 or more innings pitched, 50 or more strikeouts, fewer than 5 walks, no more than 1 home run allowed.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rhythm. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
One big problem for NBC, too many on-air cooks for the coverage, particularly on the weekends. Having 4 on-air teams separate time, divide the time, was really outrageous. You had Mike Tirico and his partner. You had Dan Hicks, NBC Sports' lead golf commentator, and his partner. You had Steve Sands from Golf Channel and his partner. And you had Terry Gann, who, by the way, if you don't know, is going to become an NBA play-by-play voice.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It's a Moonshot Monday on SportsGrid. Game Time Decisions live with you here. Kevin Walsh, we've got 90 minutes to go through a packed Major League Baseball board and also give you the latest around the NFL, contract situations going on, even in the NBA. We have a big injury update in the WNBA. We'll get to it all here on this Monday night, but I want to start with the baseball board, which is offering up, I think, a lot of juice. I think a lot of sizzle. And our guys are involved in it, so let's get involved in it right away. We're going to start best bet style here. I'm doing another 1-2 step. Look, I'll be honest with you. I feel like I'm fighting for my life on some of these 1-2 steps because the one steps and then the other doesn't. Cubs money line the other day. Jeremy Pena 2+ hero and RBI the other day. Cubs Dodgers. Who's going to, or excuse me, Brewers Dodgers. I don't even know the bet. Then again, Kriskowski taught me that's the best way to hit a bet. So, maybe this is a good sign. Brewers Dodgers money line parlay. I wanted a little plus price here. I didn't love the Brewer number, though it's dropped a little bit in the market. So it was a little bit more accessible. I think it's a perfect Dodger spot. I paired them together at plus 164. Fetty is not a major league pitcher anymore, and I'm fine fading the teams coming off of the craziness that was the Speedway Series. And Glass now is in a spot to roll, I believe, against St. Louis. And Sonny Gray, hate to say, might be washed. It's very on the board. He's given up 30 hits in his last 3 starts combined. Sonny Gray is bad news. I think the Dodgers can light him up late night. So I'm doing a little 1-2 step. Dodgers, Brewers, plus 164. Pat is going with just the Brewers, laying the run line. I don't mind that at all. Gives you a slight plus price. We've got the Marlins at minus 130 for AJ. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Chris goes Cubs, Royals, each over the 2.5 alt team total at minus 109. Not mad at that. Yarnell has lost his mind, and we know that. It's an NFL miss the playoff parlay. I can't even believe this isn't the moonshot portion of our show. Plus 224, no Cowboys, no Falcons, no Dolphins. Let's be honest. Friend to friend, cover his ears. That's a loser. One of those teams is going to get in. Let's be honest. You know it, I know it, he knows it. Someone sneaks in that back door. I'm looking at you, Atlanta. I'm looking at you, Michael Penix. That's the plus 224. Best bet, Monday, August 4th. Known baseball guy. All right, we're applying pressure, but you know what? Someone had to do it. Why not us? Moonshot Monday. Let's see what the board has to offer up. Big time style. Pat, Brenton Doyle, 2+ home runs. This is out of control already. 55-1. I mean, get excited. There was a brief second where he almost didn't want to bet it. And because we forced him, let's be honest, that should have increased the odds. But maybe at least one home run. Then we've got Barger, Loperfido, 2+ RBI. 20-1 from AJ. The Jays, there's a team play. Blue Jays to lead the slate in runs, plus 440. Don't be scared of it. Yarnell, Jacob what is going on here? This kid gave out his MLB The Show creative player to hit a home run. Better be playing on rookie. Hope you took the over, plus 750. People are hot on this Marlins game. Lindor, Pena, Suzuki, Yelich, 2+ hit run RBI, boosted to 999. I'm not mad at it. It is a hit run RBI boost day. We'll be in that market. Don't you worry about it. I went Ahmed Rosario for 2+ hit run RBI. Parlay with Abdul Carter to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Free bet sitting in the account. I may do this for a little bit now. Abdul Carter is the rightful Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year favorite. I may straight bet what is currently plus 250 price regardless. I think he has that much juice in the market. Pairing him with Rosario today as he bats in the 2-hole for the Yankees going up against the Texas Rangers. Where else are we on today's slate? Yes. Marlins, Astros. Okay. So the Miami Marlins, I believe, were the only win total that I played preseason. And I'm not here to take credit pie, although if you're offering up a slice, why not? This team has the second best record in baseball since mid-June. They are 30-14 in their last 44 games, which is ridiculous. But my favorite Miami Marlins stat is they are only one of 7 teams who are above 500 on the road. And if you look at the other 6, it's the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Brewers, the Mariners, the Astros, and the Tigers. 6 of the best teams in baseball. And the Miami Marlins. That is just fantastic stuff. But I kind of like Houston today. Now, I'll be honest. It feels like I like the Astros every day. I'm noticing that about myself. So I need to be careful with that. But I don't know if I fully buy the Sandy Alcantara bounce back. I think Jason Alexander is a bit better than the current 7 ERA he walks into this game with. And I do think the Astros are better than this current brand of baseball that they are playing. Only the Rays have a worse record than this team over the last basically month of baseball. Houston has to snap out of it. Credit to the Marlins for the hot streak that they are on. But really, sweeping the Yanks 6 in a row? I don't know. I played Houston on the money line. 1 of 2 money line dogs for me today. I played the D-backs late night. Everyone knows I'm not a Brandon Pfaadt guy, but it's a good spot. He's much better at home. He got rocked his most recent start against Detroit. Gave up 7 on the road in that one. And I don't think J.P. Sears is some great acquisition made by the Padres. I think that's, like, oh, they added J.P. Sears. That's great. Is J.P. Sears all that good? I don't necessarily think so. So I like the Diamondbacks at home at a plus price. And I did play under Rays Angels. I was really surprised on this 8.5 here. Yusei Kikuchi's been really good this season. Hauser's had good stuff all season long as well, pitching to that sub-2 ERA. I thought 8.5 was high. It's not like it's a crazy wind night or weather night necessarily for the Angels game. So I like under 8.5. I'm on a money line for Houston, and I am on a money line for the Diamondbacks. We've put some best bets out there. We've put some of the crew picks out there as well, so you have an idea where everything else starts. The only other thing for me, and don't pop that up because I maybe sent the wrong thing, but the hit-run RBI boost that you can get over on DK, I went for the catcher two-step. Give me Adley Rutschman early. Batting in the 4-hole tonight against Jesus Luzardo. Adley's been much better this year, batting from the right side of the plate. Give me Will Smith late night. Will Smith has just been phenomenal this season for the LA Dodgers, and I think he can close out a little hit-run RBI special for me here at plus 315 with that boost over on DK. We're off and running. It's going to be a big night of baseball, big night of game time decisions. We'll be right back.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rhythm. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, we're off and running here on Game Time Decisions. The baseball board is underway with the Tigers and the Twins, the Marlins and the Astros, as well as beginning Pirates, Giants, and Phillies, Orioles momentarily. To talk a little bit more about tonight's baseball slate, it's Jared Hockman. Always good to talk to you, Jared, and go over some of the action here on a pretty solid, I think, overall night that we have on this Monday.
Yeah, I agree. There's the board looks pretty good here. Got some good hitting conditions. I'm liking a lot of AL East related picks tonight. Little spoiler coming up. Again, lots of action tonight. Hope we can kind of find some winners there and get rolling into the week.
Well, you know what? And let's just start in the AL East because the Yankees, yesterday, I was like, there's no way, man. Swept by the Marlins. Louis Heels back. First at bat, home run, Trent Grisham. I'm like, we don't even need to check back in. Huh? Now 6-1. What happened here? The Yankees, after having a deadline that everybody praised, immediately threw that good faith away. Favored tonight against Patrick Corbin and the Rangers with Max Fried going. What are you expecting in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I might be like a bit of a homer here. I mean, I am a homer, but like, let's be honest, I'm taking the Yankees on the money line. And I get it. You just said it. They just got swept by the Marlins. They just kept playing bad defense. That shiny new bullpen imploded. The sky is falling in New York already. But like minus 135 for Max Fried against Patrick Corbin. I can't get myself past that. I look at Texas. They've lost 4 or 6. They're the 5th lowest batting average against lefties since July 1st. And I know Corbin's numbers look kind of decent on paper, but like the StatCast page isn't great, and I refuse to, buy into it. I mean, I know Kevin and I talked about this a couple of months ago. Fade Patrick Corbin is a recurring thing; it has been for years. So I'm going to take that tonight for the Yankees with their ace on the mound. If they don't win this game, it could get dire real quick.
Yeah, can I just stick with the Yankees for a second? Where are you on this team, big picture? I mean, currently they're tied for the, depending on book, 4th best odds to win a World Series, and some spots still top 3. How do you view this team in that regard?
I think this is a team that's heading for another ALCS loss at best, is where I see it. You've got, again, the bullpen won't be that bad as we saw this weekend. Like, they've got some great arms there, but, you've lost Garrett Cole, you've lost Clark Schmidt. That rotation gets a little thin in the back. But the biggest problem is the same thing we've seen with the Yankees for years, is that they don't have a good approach to hitting with runners in scoring position and on base. It's home run or bust. They don't play good defense, and they don't run the base as well. So they don't have the fundamentals down, and it really undercuts all the talent that they have on that roster. And when I see a team like the Blue Jays that is playing hot and they play things so well, or the Astros who do everything right and always seem to be competitive, or even the Tigers who are upstart and coming, they just do a few more little things better. And I think ultimately that's going to, be what does the Yankees in yet again.
Yeah, I think their odds are totally unjustifiable. They are currently 3rd in their division. They feel like, yes, a certainty to make the postseason, but again, they kind of feel like now they're going to really be a wild card team. I cannot get there on any of their prices. I think it's going to require Aaron Judge to be special in the postseason, and unfortunately for the big man, you can't rely on him even being good in the postseason, so it makes for a tough sell. We'll stick then with some AL East action here. The Blue Jays in a big-time expectation spot offensively. The team total is high and still not cheap juice-wise, but maybe not high enough, Jared?
Yeah, Kevin, I'm taking it. I'm going with the team total. It's 6.5. I think it's like minus 125, minus 130. I'm still going to go with it, though. And the reason why, again, they're playing in Colorado. The wind is projected to be blowing out to left center, about 15 miles an hour, warm temperatures. And then you got Tanner Gordon starting. You look at his StatCast page, pretty ugly. I know the Jays kind of hit a little bit of a skid lately, but this is just such a perfect get-right spot for them. Alejandro Kirk came back to the lineup. He actually has a game under his belt. He's back from concussion protocol. I look at the Rockies, Kevin. They just gave up 30 runs in 3 games to the Pirates. And the Pirates are 30th in baseball in offense. So the Jays, who are like a top 5, top 10 offense, what are they going to do? I also think, and this is kind of the spicy tomato play for you tonight. If you want to ladder this a little bit, you could go maybe over 7.5 at plus money, over 8.5 plus 165, maybe even Jays to get 10 runs is plus 240. You don't want to put like a half or quarter unit on it. I think there's some potential, especially with the weather and the hitting conditions. There could be some major damage done tonight by the Blue Jays.
The Rockies are nearly at 700 runs allowed this season. We're still waiting for the Rangers to give up 400 runs to put – it's currently a 296-run gap in terms of runs allowed between those teams. All right, we'll close out the AL East portion of it. A little love for a Tampa Bay hitter?
Yeah, I'm looking at Junior Caminero to get over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs tonight against the Los Angeles Angels. They're facing Yusei Kikuchi, and since June 15th, so about like 2 months, 6 weeks, he's got the 3rd most runs and hits allowed to right-handed hitters, and he's got the 4th highest hard hit rate at almost 50%. Since Jonathan Aranda got hurt, we've seen Caminero move up in the lineup. He's actually batting 4th against lefties. He did that twice this weekend against the Dodgers. I was looking between him and Yandy Diaz. Yandy Diaz is red hot, but he's lead off. His total's at 2.5. I don't like the extra thing you need to get there. So I'm going to go down with Cameronero in the cleanup spot. A hit and an RBI, 2 hits, an home run can settle that really quickly. He's got the power to do it. Almost even money, so we'll take that with Cameronero to keep slugging.
It works nicely. Late night, there's some Dodgers action, and then earlier, a little bit between the Mets and the Guardians for you.
Yeah, I'll start with the Mets because it's chronologically first. I'm taking them to win the first 5 innings. There at plus money. Actually, I will say I think this has moved at a lot of books. I think you're at like minus 120 now. So still a play for me though. They've got Sean Manaea going against Slade Ciccone. Manaea's he's been really good. He's given up just 1 run each of his 4 starts. He's yet to pitch into the 6th though, which is why I'm kind of going with like the first half. Ciccone's been solid but not spectacular. But listen, he's a guy that doesn't miss a lot of bats. He has hard contact. Doesn't have a great fastball. It's a good matchup for the Mets there with Lindor, Alonso, and Soto there. Late night, going with the Dodgers. Tyler Glasnow to get 7 Ks or more at minus 105. He's facing the Cardinals. I understand that their stats look good. Like they don't strike out a lot against righties, but it's kind of skewed. They've got 12 straight games against right-handed starters. Only once have they faced the pitcher with a K for 9 above 9.5. That was Dylan Cease, got 9 Ks in 5 innings. Glasnow's K for 9 is 11 this year, and it's his lowest, so I think he's going to come back and just dominate them and rack them up.
Love it. Absolutely love it. I think Glasnow and Manaea could have some success tonight. Jared, we appreciate it. As always, we'll be back with a quick break here. It's Game Time Decision.
We all know a night out at the club in Vegas can get a little bit pricey, but I've got a tip that can save you a cover fee at some of the hottest nightclubs. All you have to do is sign up online for free with a credible guest list service. Then, just show up before 10:30 and check right in. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
They lay over and die at the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who beat them 109-78. The defense is a mess. The offense is a mess. The Vegas Aces, who I was so sold on, JY, bouncing back and being one of the absolute best teams in this league, are average at best.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Over a full season, is he going to be Mike Piazza? No, of course not. But I think he's going to be a guy who could help your team here. My only problem really with Alvarez is this, as Craig and I have talked about so many times, catcher is deep. If you're in a 2-catcher league, by the way, please, for the love of God, I never understood why anybody plays in 2-catcher leagues. But in a 1-catcher league, who's the catcher you're dropping?
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
With you right here on SportsGrid Game Time Decisions. We've got a Nerfy in Marlins Astros. We've got a Yerfy in Detroit, Minnesota. And we've already seen some runs, and it could be more, between Pittsburgh and San Fran. We will see. Phil's O's is on the cut line. The one thing we didn't get to yet, I did play a little strikeout parlay tonight with a little boost, popped it up to 4-1 on Brian Bayo for 4, Sean Manaea for 4, Brandon Pfaadt for 4, and then Tyler Glasnow for 6. So that is how, again, that's going to be Glasnow for 6. So that's what we're going to do at a plus 403. But speaking of some pitchers, Jacob Mizorowski hit the IL for the Milwaukee Brewers. And, this is a really fascinating team when we try and evaluate the futures market. And I'll let everyone know, last week we did a Kevin 7 around the Super Bowl market. Tomorrow we're going to talk some World Series, the best teams in Major League Baseball, where there could be some value. And the Brewers feel like a very easy case to make because you have 9 teams in front of the Milwaukee Brewers, despite the fact that they currently are set up with the best record in Major League Baseball. They have the highest run differential in Major League Baseball. So there's a lot that you can use to, again, easily sell yourself on some value for this team. But the Mizorowski stuff, I think, it just adds to a little bit of the uncertainty that surrounds the Brew Crew. Where you look at the rotation, and Quinn Priester, who's going tonight. And like, I'm backing him, right? He's a part of the best bet for me tonight. But even this rotation, are you in love with Freddie Peralta, Brandon Woodruff, and Jacob Mizorowski as a front three when there's not really a ton of postseason pedigree for any of those guys? Woodruff, a little bit. Peralta's not been good in his few postseason performances. Mizorowski, obviously none. Do you trust this lineup of Yelich and Churio and Terang? It's hard to get there. And I think what makes it hard to get to Milwaukee is the Cubs' threat is very legit. There's some strength of schedule stuff out there, and I know it's hard because of how many games you play in Major League Baseball, but there's not that many left at this point, right? About 50 or so for a lot of these teams. So it at least can give you a general idea. And the only teams with easier strength of schedules than the Chicago Cubs are the Padres and Dodgers, and that's because they both play the Rockies 7 times. Take that and then pair it with 5 games between these teams remaining, Milwaukee and Chicago, and the Cubs are home for all 5 of them. You now end up in a situation where, despite the fact the Brewers are 67-44, and if they were in the NL East with the Phillies and Mets, who I think are easily more talented ball clubs, they would have a bigger divisional lead than they have right now against the Cubs. That is why, when you look at the division price, you don't even see anything that resembles a runaway for the Brewers. In fact, a set of numbers that were minus 110 each direction late last night is actually minus 115 Chicago. And the divisional prices don't always line up for the World Series price. Toronto, for example, is minus 155 to win the AL East, yet comfortably behind the Yankees on any sports book to win the World Series. So there's not always that quick correlation. So you see there isn't a full belief out of the sports books that the Brewers, despite, again, at the moment having baseball's best record, are even going to be able to finish this out as the division winners. And once you put Milwaukee in a wild card situation, they're not going to be favorites over any other team that makes the postseason. They're just not. They will not be favored over Philly, New York, Chicago, the Dodgers, Padres. Maybe if they were somehow matched up with Cincinnati, if Cincinnati snuck in, because that's really the only other team that feels like they might be in the race, or the only other team above 500 in the National League. But the Brewers are one of those teams that I feel like for a little bit I wondered, is there value? And the more I looked into them, and again, we're gonna get into this quite a lot tomorrow, I said no. I didn't find myself excited about Milwaukee. I think they're an easy case to make. They're just not the case for me. We turn our attention a little bit to the National Football League and a notable hold-in next.
We all know a night out at the club in Vegas can get a little bit pricey, but I've got a tip that can save you a cover fee at some of the hottest nightclubs. All you have to do is sign up online for free with a credible guest list service. Then, just show up before 10:30 and check right in. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
They lay over and die at the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who beat them 109-78. The defense is a mess. The offense is a mess. The Vegas Aces, who I was so sold on, JY, bouncing back and being one of the absolute best teams in this league, are average at best.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Over a full season, is he going to be Mike Piazza? No, of course not. But I think he's going to be a guy who can help your team here. My only problem really with Alvarez is this, as Craig and I have talked about so many times, catcher is deep. If you're in a two-catcher league, by the way, please, for the love of God, I never understood why anybody plays in two-catcher leagues. But in a one-catcher league, who's the catcher you're dropping?
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on SportsGrid, it is Game Time Decisions. Let's update this Major League Baseball board for you. It ended up a Yerfie in Phil's O's due to a Bryce Harper solo shot in the bottom of the first. Some home runs appeared, though, or a home run appeared in the top of the second with Tyler O'Neill going deep, and Adley Rutschman was on base. So that's 2+ hit run RBI for Adley, who has, by the way, now hit a double in 4 straight games, and in 6 of his last 7 games, Adley Rutschman has doubled. His 7 doubles in 7 games. Pretty great. Pretty great. Like, I don't know when we will return to speaking about the Orioles from a, like, as respect, it matters perspective. Like, they don't matter this season. They're out of the race, right? But there are still supposed to be perennial stars on that Baltimore team, Gunnar Henderson and Adley Rutschman, the most notable, where I am sure next season, I would think next season, we are wondering, can Baltimore catch people by surprise? That should at least be the expectation. It's 2-0 San Francisco after they had a nice opening inning, a couple of runs scored, one on a walk, as Oviedo didn't have it going on for this Pittsburgh team in his first start for them. And then nothing else has changed just yet on that baseball board. We'll keep you updated. There's no WNBA tonight. Again, it's baseball heavy, but it's also always football heavy as we are getting closer. If anybody missed it, and look, there will be replays, but 3:30 today, myself and Joe Lisi live right here on the SportsGrid Network with some pro football today. We want to start giving you more and more as we get closer to the NFL season. So that is scheduled to be, Mondays moving forward. So make sure that you are with us here on SportsGrid for all of that. And one of the items we didn't have the time to hit on that show, but I think people are going to start to talk a little bit more about, it's the Buffalo Bills running back James Cook. James Cook is a really interesting player because it took a long time for Cook to get his due respect. If you look at his rookie season, the 2 touchdowns, it didn't matter because it was 5.7 yards a pop, and clearly there was some juice for the Georgia back. You look at 2023, and things were a little bit underwhelming because the efficiency did take a step back and the touchdowns didn't come forward. He was good in the receiving game, though. Had 4 receiving touchdowns that year, was averaging 10 yards per reception. But interestingly, it was as if last season we didn't speak about, at least I don't feel, we didn't talk about James Cook really at all. And that's how he ended up quietly creeping into the league lead, tied, but still, for the most rushing touchdowns in football at 16, which is incredibly impressive when you think about how much you get from Josh Allen in terms of rushing touchdowns, all right? Like, so Josh Allen in 2023 had 15. He had 12 last year. So he had 3 less. That alone doesn't explain James Cook getting 14 more year over year. It showed a player who took a step forward. And I also think James Cook, in some ways, was underrated how good he was in the playoffs. James Cook, look, I know Buffalo wasn't hurting for points in that game, and they lost against Kansas City, but man, James Cook was great. I mean, really was. He had 3 grabs for 49 yards on top of 6.5 yards per rush, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was great. He was absolutely fantastic, and he dominated Denver early on in the wild card round. So when you look at this Buffalo offense, and yes, obviously all things run through Josh, I've wondered, could we see a step taken forward by the trio, one of Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, or Dalton Kincaid? Can one of those guys go up a tier? I think that's more on the board than it's being discussed. Tight ends don't have to be, Brock Bowers. That's not normal, where day number 1, year number 1, superstar. Dalton Kincaid is someone who had first-round pedigree, went in the first round, and nobody batted an eye. I think Dalton Kincaid could break out this season. But I think it's also on the board that Keon Coleman, who had a lot of hype and basically was a first-round pick 33, could break out this year as he gets a little bit more comfortable in the NFL. And Khalil Shakir's just been really good. I know he's dealing with an injury right now, so we'll see if Shakir's going to be able to turn that on and, be fully healthy for this football team. But they have something in Khalil Shakir. Buffalo does not need all 3 of those guys to go to another level. They need Josh to keep his level. They need James Cook around and one of that trio to pop forward. And you can start to discuss this team as, and people likely already are, but like truly, the best offense in football, maybe, if you want to make that claim. If you want to make that claim. You remove James Cook, it's going to add a little bit of uncertainty. I ultimately think this gets done. I believe that at least. I will say it doesn't feel like Buffalo. I don't think Buffalo's typical way of doing business is having this still linger. I think they would much prefer this to be done with. And I think when you're at this point and things aren't done, it's always fair to wonder, hey, are we going to get a resolution? Because it should be done already at this point. We shouldn't be dealing with these things. Not when you're going to have the player on your roster. That's just silly, right? Like, just get it done with, make it happen. But it's something to follow, undoubtedly. The other thing, of course, that is taking the NFL by storm, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this in just a bit here, but it's everything around this Micah Parsons situation with the Dallas Cowboys. And this is my biggest takeaway, I think, right now, is I think it might actually be a good thing for the NFL if Micah Parsons is traded. You do not want to ever be at a point where things don't matter. Right? Like we talk about that in some ways with Kansas City, where the Chiefs had obvious flaws. There were clearly things wrong. And then I felt like at times I would bring it up on the desk and be like, it's Mahomes, so figure it out. It's like, all right, so the games don't matter. None of it matters. Close your eyes, 15 win column, right? And that obviously then, it all came together in the Super Bowl in an incredible fashion. It's not a perfect comparison, but I really don't think it's great for the NFL if every single time a player requests a trade, nothing happens. Like, I will tell you that, listen, the NFL does a lot of things better than the NBA. But in the NBA, when someone requests a trade, all right, now we've got the juice, now we've got goods. In fact, the NBA, Shams still won't give up on the idea that Giannis is going to request out. And that's enough for, NBA fans to be, well, maybe interesting. People have, hey, do you think LeBron's going to request a trade? People wonder. Because that will actually lead to something. We're doing this thing now in the NFL where we're now finding new contract negotiation beats. And adding trade request is silly. I should have come on here today with tomorrow's Kevin 7 should be 7 teams that need to trade for Micah Parsons. Why waste everyone's time? Unless it's not a waste of time. Unless it's not. Quick break. We're back with you here on a Monday night.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Back with you right here on SportsGrid, and we were just talking a little bit about the Micah Parsons situation. To help us try and understand what's going on is Joseph Hoyt, covers the Dallas Cowboys for the Dallas Morning News. And Joseph, we appreciate you making some time here to talk about a situation that I don't think many of us thought we would actually be talking about. That's not to say I thought Micah would already have his deal done. I just never expected this to elevate to the point that it's at. What is your perception, Ben, of this current contract journey for arguably the Cowboys' best player?
Yeah, Kevin, I think it's fascinating that you kind of talked about the timeline and the unexpected nature of this, because if you go back to the other day when Micah did request his trade. There were rumblings in the morning, from Diana Rossini about, hey, this could be a severing of this relationship. I checked in with sources and they said, hey, just FYI, no trade request has been made yet. So I wrote that. And then literally 2 hours later, a trade request had been made. And I think it was surprising not only to people kind of outside in the media, but also people within the Cowboys, because if you look at how stars handle their negotiations with the Cowboys, there's kind of a script with how these things go, right? It gets contentious. There's some verbal jabs talked about, from across the bow, but it doesn't result in trade requests. Micah Parsons, drew a line in the sand and kind of deviated from the path, changed up the script a little bit, and I think that surprised people. Now, whether that means he'll actually get traded, I don't believe so. I believe this is part of the negotiations, but it's fascinating nonetheless that we're at this point.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you just about the perception of this whole thing, and you're close to the situation, obviously there, but usually, no matter the sport, you get contract disputes, and people will end up somewhat siding with the team. That's who they're the fan of, or these players are greedy. You hear this stuff all the time. I feel like you have to search far and wide to find anybody who feels like Parsons is to blame here. I wonder if you feel that same perception, and if you think maybe that factors into who might have to cave with this whole thing.
Kevin, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there with the perception. And it's a great observation, because if you go back to last year, Micah Parsons, I think, has been kind of ahead of the game. We talk about that script. I think he's been flipping it from the very beginning. He talked last year about, hey, I don't need to be the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. I just want money for a lake house. And I think that, he said, I want to be here. I want to be a Cowboy. And I think that endeared people from the beginning and also set the course of narratives that Micah was kind of going to have the public appreciation in terms of what the Cowboys versus him and the contract negotiation game would go. And I think it's kind of kept going throughout this whole process. At OTAs and minicamp, Micah, he didn't practice, but then at one point he put a helmet on and got in some drills and did some things, while the media was there watching. And I don't think that was an accident. I don't think the fact that this is a trade request, something that star players haven't done, is an accident. I think Micah Parsons, if you look at that statement he kind of wrote the other day, it was pretty lengthy. And one thing he said was, hey, I wanted to start negotiations last year. The Cowboys were the ones that didn't want to do it. We then asked Jerry Jones, did you, decline to do that? And he basically said, hey, negotiations started in March of this year, not last year. So, and if we did everything Micah wants, then that would encompass a lot of things. So I think from the very beginning, Micah's had a very clear path on how he wanted to handle this negotiation from a public perception. It makes sense. He has his own podcast. He's the head of football content at Bleacher Report. This is someone that understands the power of the media, and I think he's been doing a good job of really wielding that sword.
I'm curious, Joseph, if at all you've started to wonder, what could a return look like? Who could be the suitors? Because, again, the weird thing with I think the Myles Garrett thing almost set the standard of trade requests maybe don't matter that much in the NFL. But if we got to that point, some people are like, Philly will call, but they'll never trade him to Philly. Hey, 2 firsts, 3 firsts, 4 firsts. Have you started to think about how this could actually look if Parsons were dealt?
It's one of those things where I think you do from just let's kind of wrap our head around a perspective, right? What would Micah Parsons be worth? The answer is a lot. You go back to the Khalil Mack trade. I think he'd probably get more than that. I think if he were traded, he would immediately sign to be the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. I think those things, when you start talking about, theoreticals, are all in play in terms of, hey, that could happen. I just don't think it will. I think the Cowboys are pretty clear they're not taking this trade request serious. Jerry Jones said this is just part of the negotiation game. I asked Brian Schottenheimer today if, your mind starts to go from a game planning perspective, from being a head coach, what would this game plan look like without Micah Parsons in it? And he's like, I don't go there because I expect him to be here week 1 against the Eagles to start this NFL season. I don't go there because I'm living in the moment. I don't think there's a lot of people here that think that this will end up in any other way other than Micah Parsons, shaking Jerry Jones' hand and becoming the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. But, your mind does go there a little bit when these things happen because it's so new in terms of the Cowboys.
Yeah, it's such a fascinating thing, and I wonder when's the next escalation point of this all. We're with Joseph Hoyt, covers again the Cowboys for the Dallas Morning News. I am curious, outside of Micah Parsons, what maybe has popped to you from training camp? There's a lot of eyes on this running back room. Who could potentially emerge? Have you seen anything there?
Yeah, I think from the running back room, well, actually, let's say this. I think their wide receivers, in terms of George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, and a healthy Dak Prescott, this passing attack has a chance to be exactly kind of what it was in 2024 when Dak Prescott was the MVP runner-up. I think they have a lot of potential in terms of that. Obviously, offensive line injuries are kind of making the pass protect situation a little interesting. But CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens have been inseparable. How that plays into the running backs, I wonder if they're going to kind of push the ball deep to open up the run game a little bit. And they're a big believer that, hey, it doesn't really matter who we have in that running back room because we believe in our offensive line blocking up front and what it can do. They did a good job against the Cowboys defensive line, who hasn't historically been very good against the run defense. So I'm very curious to see against the Rams this week in both joint practice and a preseason game if that can hold. In terms of who might be separating themselves, Miles Sanders was doing that, I thought, early on, but he's been hurt the last few days. Jaden Blue, the rookie 5th-round pick from Texas, is probably the big X factor here. He's a guy that I think, you see potential for him to eventually rise over Javonte Williams and maybe be a guy that could get a lot of snaps at the end of the season.
It's a lot of good stuff there. The offense does look set up like it could be prolific. Also, while you're doing those joint practices, try and push some of those LA people and figure out if they're panicked on Matt Stafford for me.
I'll do a good job. I'll do some digging out there for you.
All right. Joseph Hoyt, man, appreciate it. Again, covers the Dallas Cowboys for the Dallas Morning News. You can find him at Joe J. Hoyt over on X. This Cowboys situation, maybe it's boring, or maybe Micah Parsons will be in charge. We'll find out soon enough. I'm sure we'll be right back here with you on Game Time.
We all know a night out at the club in Vegas can get a little bit pricey, but I've got a tip that can save you a cover fee at some of the hottest nightclubs. All you have to do is sign up online for free with a credible guest list service. Then, just show up before 10:30 and check right in. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
They lay over and die at the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who beat them 109-78. The defense is a mess. The offense is a mess. The Vegas Aces, who I was so sold on, JY, bouncing back and being one of the absolute best teams in this league, are average at best.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Over a full season, is he going to be Mike Piazza? No, of course not. But I think he's going to be a guy who could help your team here. My only problem really with Alvarez is this, as Craig and I have talked about so many times, catcher is deep. If you're in a two-catcher league, by the way, please, for the love of God, I never understood why anybody plays in two-catcher leagues. But in a one-catcher league, who's the catcher you're dropping?
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, back at the right here on SportsGrid. Let's update you on the Major League Baseball board. Astros strike first. Double-double. Pena to Sanchez. It's 1-0. And Houston is threatening for more against Sandy Alcantara. It's 2-1 now as Pittsburgh got one back against the Giants. It's 3-1 Baltimore after a Westburg home run. Nerfy comes in, Mets, Guardians. And you end up getting a Yerfy, Braves, Brewers, thanks to a first-pitch home run from Jurickson Profar. Not what I'm looking for as Atlanta flips to favorites as they go first up against the Brew Crew. Boston threatening Their first two batters go base knock, and they now could potentially open this thing up against Bailey Falter and Kansas City. And let me say this now before it is spoiled, but the Kansas City Royals at 56 and 56 are a brilliant and perfect and fantastic 28 and 28 at home and 28 and 28 on the road. It is a shame that they've right now are at a minus 11 run differential. They've given up 422 runs. They've scored 411. Boy, would that be great if their run differential was a 0. That is where the baseball board is right now. 2-0 Houston. So we're just giving everybody a little bit of idea of where things stand here on this Monday night. I do want to quickly bring up some quarterback news that we're seeing, some depth charts, situations that are coming out. And earlier today, the Indianapolis Colts have approached their quarterback depth chart college style. It says Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson. I cannot tell you how frustrated I am by how the Indianapolis Colts have handled Anthony Richardson. I understand that maybe if you believe that the competition is good to get the most out of AR, I understand that. But if the Indianapolis Colts bench Anthony Richardson for Daniel Jones at any point this season, they are totally lost. Anthony Richardson was drafted after playing a handful of games, really a season as a starter at Florida. An incredibly raw but exciting prospect. His rookie season, he could not stay on the field. Some flashes on the ground, but he was not able to stay out there. We then get 2024, the last year, and they go with Richardson, then they bench Richardson, deals with some health stuff again. It's all over the place. It's all over the place. There's no consistency whatsoever. Now, I understand Anthony Richardson is not lighting up the league, right? 48% completion percentage in his games that he played last year. 8 passing touchdowns to 12 picks. He did have 6 on the ground, but he fumbled the ball quite a bit. They didn't lose a lot of them, but it was still far too risky. But again, you have a player who's only appeared in 15 pro games. If you look at the way the Colts roster is set up, it feels like there's all this boom or bust nature, right? Like, you could see a world where it comes together for the defense. And also maybe there's nothing that really resembles like a blue chip talent on that side of the ball. Right? And then you look at the offense, and it's like, well, this offensive line maybe has something. It's like, I don't know, maybe that Downs, A.D. Mitchell pairing could work out. They draft Tyler Warren. But you have to just kind of shoot for the moon. And the shoot for the moon scenario is the one where Anthony Richardson is the quarterback who puts it together. I'm not saying it's a guarantee that it happens, but to draft a player as raw as Richardson and to be willing to give up on him this early, that is a poorly ran situation. That is bad decision-making, simply put, from Indianapolis. I know things have swung back AR's way, but it also feels like if the Colts lose their first 2 games, Daniel Jones is getting the ball against Tennessee. Time will tell. We'll talk a little more quarterback next.
We all know a night out at the club in Vegas can get a little bit pricey, but I've got a tip that can save you a cover fee at some of the hottest nightclubs. All you have to do is sign up online for free with a credible guest list service. Then, just show up before 10:30 and check right in. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
They lay over and die at the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who beat them 109-78. The defense is a mess. The offense is a mess. The Vegas Aces, who I was so sold on, JY, bouncing back and being one of the absolute best teams in this league, are average at best.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Over a full season, is he going to be Mike Piazza? No, of course not. But I think he's going to be a guy who can help your team here. My only problem really with Alvarez is this, as Craig and I have talked about so many times, catcher is deep. If you're in a two-catcher league, by the way, please, for the love of God, I never understood why anybody plays in two-catcher leagues. But in a one-catcher league, who's the catcher you're dropping?
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Back to right here on SportsGrid. It is a Monday night. The Major League Baseball board is featuring the Houston Astros, taking it to the Miami Marlins. Tom Vecchio joins us. He's none too pleased. Tom, it's good to see you. Why are you so upset about the Astros?
It's good to see you. I was on the Astros yesterday, on Pro Baseball Today, talking with Donnie about the Astros. I just didn't expect them to get swept. They had their ace on their mound with Valdez, and I want to say, he kind of pitched okay, and I know the scoreline and his stats, don't reflect that, but it was a super weird inning that accounted for, I believe, 5 of the 6 Red Sox runs, where it was an infield single where he couldn't field it, and then, an error and a bunt and this and that, and then blah, blah, blah. So it's outside of that, he actually pitched pretty well, and it was just that one inning that sunk him.
Yeah, I played Houston today, but I also feel like I've liked the Astros spots so consistently now that I don't know how much credit I deserve for that. But I did like Houston today at a plus price. Then again, look, we'll see. This team's not above blowing a lead. One other update quickly. Kyle Schwarber goes deep, and he now is the NL leader in home runs at 39. Don't forget, our guy AJ did mention Schwarber to lead the league in home runs post-Judge injury at a little bit better than 5-1. He is still behind Cal Raleigh, but Raleigh has cooled off a little bit. Certainly within the home run department, I think that is fair to say. Just 7 in the last 30 days. Just 1 this past week, and Schwarber is certainly trending up. Tom, are you on anything right now, Major League Baseball-wise? What are we tracking?
Yelich for 2+ total bases. Spoke about this morning on the early line with Joe and Donnie. Great matchup going up against Eric Fetty, who's terrible, arguably the worst pitcher in baseball. He just got DFA'd by the Cardinals a couple weeks ago. The rain is apparently holding east of I think there's a spider in here, not a big deal. I think there's the rain is holding east of the Braves Stadium, and then I'm on the Cubs game over.
Hold on. Oh, are you dealing with a spider?
I think I might be right now. It's not great.
It's on you?
No, but I think I'm okay right now.
You want to get it?
No, we can continue the segment.
I mean, listen, believe it or not, I can talk while you handle the spider.
No. We'll keep going.
All right.
We'll need a taker later.
All right, listen, the spider segment, people remember a lot of pressure on you. Let's
Not
let all of our
Mitchell, not Donovan Mitchell, but
we're gonna need it. What are all of the hard hitting questions so we can now put you? All right, Bron or MJ, go.
LeBron.
This guy's nails under pressure. We love to see that from Tom here. So the Major League Baseball board, we're following it. We're letting it play out. Minnesota, Detroit is now 2 apiece. We've got home runs aplenty in that game, treating it like a Dinger Tuesday. Red Sox have 2 early against KC. So that's kind of where the scores are. Again, the Phils did tie it off of the Kyle Schwarber home run. Major League Baseball-wise, though, Tom, can you just give me an idea of where you might be within the futures market? And I'm looking primarily World Series or pennant prices. Do you have anything that you have already put down?
Yeah, so I have a few futures. I'm considering adding the Padres to the portfolio just because, obviously the addition of Mason Miller is fantastic. But, the more I think about it, Darvish is back. And granted, he's not the same pitcher he once was. Michael King is on his way back. Nick Pivetta and Dylan Cease. That's a pretty good 4-man rotation or 3-man rotation, whatever you want to call it, whatever it might be. So I have a future on Cubs versus Phillies in the NLCS. It's not either team to beat either team. It's just that direct matchup, along with Mets, Dodgers, and Mets to beat the Dodgers and Dodgers to beat the Mets in the NLCS. So those are the only futures I have, at least from a team perspective. It's all NL based.
And you have the Padres bet is World Series.
I'm considering adding the Padres, either NLCS, because just where they fall. I believe that they're 6th on the list. Dodgers, Mets, Phillies, I think are 1, 2, 3. Cubs are there. Brewers are making some moves, but the Padres, I think, are really interesting because, essentially, if they do get to the NLCS, like all of those teams are going to cannibalize each other, and it really comes down to the path that they have to play. Because I assume that they won't win the division. So if they get to the wild card, they do have to go through that extra round, which is certainly. But I believe the pitching that they have with Cease and Pivetta, and then maybe a combo game of a Michael King and a Darvish plus the bullpen, I think that is strong enough to win multiple rounds.
So I think the Padres need Michael King back, and I think they need him to be at the front of that rotation. I don't think we're doing a Darvish Cease lead man anymore. If you want to make the Pivetta case, you can, but I think that's where they need Michael King. My question to you would be, as this team sits 3 back of the Dodgers, they play one another, I believe, 3-3, 3 home, home and home, if you would. Do you think they could win the division? I mean, it's a 7-1 number. A pretty juicy ticket for just what is a 3-game gap right now with 6 head-to-head games.
They could, but I would have my eyes set like greater. Like I if they're good enough to win the division, they're good enough to go further than that. So this is not to say that you can't play the division, but again, at 9.5 to 1 or 10 to 1, which is what it was yesterday for the NLCS, that like your sights should be set higher. If you think they're good enough to win the division, I'm not saying don't bet them to win the division. Go ahead and have a small piece on that, but like if they're good enough to do that, they can get past the Dodgers, they can get to the NLCS, they can get to the World Series type of thing. So you might as well have pieces and essentially ladder up their success.
I just don't know if that applies. My only thing is, like, 7-1 to 950 is not a big gap, right?
It's not, but that's why I don't think it's worth playing the division. I think I'd rather just go for the 10-1 number.
I think if you hit that division bet, right, like, the idea on the 950 would be, listen, like, you're fine with it if they're in the postseason. I don't know what that bet looks like if they don't win the division. The way the whole bracket is going to be potentially set up is very, very interesting. I think the biggest thing for the Dodgers and the Padres right now is that they each play the Rockies 7 times. The Dodgers have the easiest remaining strength of schedule in baseball. Like, that's why the Dodgers still getting to say the 1 seed is so on the board when we think about, just the way this is all going to break out. And I think these are all of the things that matter and can make the difference when we're trying to figure out pricing. Like, I tend to believe that they are still a little too strong right now, the Dodgers, but I can't really make a good case that they shouldn't be the favorites because the Mets-Philly stuff is such a coin flip when we just think about who's going to actually win the NL East.
It is. And those teams plus the Cubs, Brewers, like those both divisions are pure coin flips at this point. And whoever's in the game lead today, they're going to have 2 games back in 2 weeks. The other team is going to be middle of September, flip-flopping the entire way. So, yeah, like the number at 9.5 isn't super long for the Padres, but I do think it's doable. I understand what you're saying with the Dodgers in terms of the price where they should be the favorite, but at plus 135 to win the NLCS, that's a little bit crazy in my mind at this point, considering that they're still just not fully healthy. Blake Snell came back. He looked okay. Tommy Edman went on the IL today. Max Muncy comes back. So there's just too much inconsistency for me to buy in on them now. Like I said, I have the piece of the Dodgers to beat the Mets in the NLCS direct outcome, and I've had it since before the season started. But that could be dead as soon as the playoffs start if they're on the same side of the bracket.
Yeah, I still can't get to the Dodger prices, which is frustrating. I mean, they're plus 120 for the best record in baseball, right? Like, do I think they can end up with the best record in baseball? Yes. I don't think they're a sure thing. So that becomes the tricky bit a little bit when you're trying to sell people on LA. Let's check in football-wise with Tom. There are some teams making news at the top and the bottom. We'll talk a little Cleveland Browns next with you right here on Game Time.
We all know a night out at the club in Vegas can get a little bit pricey, but I've got a tip that can save you a cover fee at some of the hottest nightclubs. All you have to do is sign up online for free with a credible guest list service. Then, just show up before 10:30 and check right in. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
They lay over and die at the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who beat them 109-78. The defense is a mess. The offense is a mess. The Vegas Aces, who I was so sold on, JY, bouncing back and being one of the absolute best teams in this league, are average at best.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Over a full season, is he going to be Mike Piazza? No, of course not. But I think he's going to be a guy who can help your team here. My only problem really with Alvarez is this, as Craig and I have talked about so many times, catcher is deep. If you're in a 2-catcher league, by the way, please, for the love of God, I never understood why anybody plays in 2-catcher leagues. But in a 1-catcher league, who's the catcher you're dropping?
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, with you right here, it is Game Time decisions. 5-0 Boston. Jumped all over KC and Bailey Falter, the Royals' newest acquisition, not panning out early in that game. Minnesota did take the lead back from Detroit as Wallner goes deep. How many home runs does Matt Wallner have this season? That'll be his 15th. All right.
I say 16.
All right. Pretty close. Pretty close there, Tom. So the NFL, we just got a little bit of news out of Cleveland. I don't think it's all too surprising. Their first depth chart of the season, Adam Schefter was the first to just put this out there. Joe Flacco is QB1, Kenny Pickett second, Dylan Gabriel third, and Shedeur Sanders fourth. I actually feel as if my biggest takeaway when I see these 4 names in any order is this whole thing is a mess. It's not even about whether you like these names. It's just the plan and the process for the Browns feels really bad. What are your current thoughts, Tom, on the Browns quarterback situation?
It's everything you just said. It's a mess. Like there's no clear path forward. I assume Flacco starts week 1. I know a lot of people are talking about Kenny Pickett. He had the injury. He missed a couple days. I see this as he starts week 1. They're 1-6, and then it's just like, all right, we're just going to give the young guys some run because why not? Like we're not going to win the division. We're not going to compete. Maybe another injury happens and another team needs Flacco, so therefore they trade him, and they're already 1-5, so they just want to get some run for the young guys. But it's just a mess. There's no reason to do this except for I don't want to say just the headlines, but it's almost worse than that. Like you are stunting the development. If you want Sanders to be the future franchise quarterback, he needs to be playing. He needs to be getting the first team reps. He needs to be out there. Like, I don't want to say the prince that was promised, but like he needs to be the one at the helm, ready to take over, knowing, okay, Flacco is not playing. It's going to be him, but they're just throwing it all away. Like, what are we doing?
So, never mind. Prayers have been answered. They just signed a Pro Bowl quarterback. Tyler Huntley. Tyler Huntley just got signed by the Browns. According to Adam Schefter of ESPN, a lot of their quarterbacks are banged up, and Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders all dealing with different levels of injuries. So, I have so many problems with this situation. I do think they are going to be ready to move on from either Flacco or Pickett when it becomes decision time. I think they'd love to just get the most. If it's a 4th rounder, if it's a 5th rounder, if somebody somewhere needs a quarterback, they will be happy to supply that quarterback. The problem with the Gabriel-Sanders combination is most people in Cleveland believe their franchise quarterback is currently not in the National Football League. It's someone in college. Arch Manning, Garrett Nussmeier, Drew Aller. You take your pick. Well, if that's true, then why did you spend not 1 but 2 draft picks on the quarterback position? That is just awful asset management. Really, in recent years, taking a quarterback inside the top 3 rounds almost guarantees you're going to give him a chance to be your guy, right? We think about Malik Willis. We think about Sam Howell, Desmond Ridder. These guys were given chances to degrees I don't know if they deserve, but those teams thought, we spent enough, we have to give them a chance.
Right. We're only dealing with so many games for them to play and to start. Like, Kenny Pickett, they just want some stability. Okay. And then it's like, okay, well, is Dylan Gabriel going to be in there? It's like, well, is Sanders going to be in there now? It's like, well, we want to develop both of them. We want to see what we have. But then if we're going to take a pick next year for a quarterback, why do we even have them on the roster? What are we doing? Because you could have just rolled with Flacco and or Kenny Pickett for the entire season and then just pick the quarterback next year.
Yeah, I think this is the problem for me. It's why the Gabriel pick. Look, even if Shedeur's never going to be their quarterback, and look, odds are he is not. Right? Like that's the toughest thing about the whole fall for Shedeur Sanders is he actually landed in the worst possible place.
Yeah.
Cleveland traded up to jump Philly, where Sanders would have been QB3 on the Eagles depth chart. And that'd have been fine. He would have known where he was. There would have been no pressure. There would have been nothing to think about. So it's just a scenario where, Kyle McCord, right, who ended up going in the 6th round, ended up in a much better situation than Shedeur Sanders ultimately. And look, the other thing for Cleveland that I will just tell everybody, people are going to mention, Flacco's had success before. Jerry Jeudy's good. The Browns' offensive line in 2025 and the Browns' offensive line that was there in 2023, a lot of same names. None of them are as good as they once were. And that is why this team, Tom, is projected to be maybe the worst in football. Easily one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Between them and the Saints, it's going to be, I don't want to say a race to the bottom to see who's going to have the top pick. But when it comes to Dylan Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, you bring him in, then you draft Sanders, like this benefits no one. At no point does this benefit anyone. And again, the only scenario where it will benefit someone is if another quarterback on another team gets hurt. That team then wants to trade for Joe Flacco for some level of stability, as we've seen over the past few years. And then you give time to Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders to actually just play and be like, this is what we have. We just got to figure it out, because that's the only way we're actually going to know the outcome of this.
Yeah, and the incredible thing, though, is, let's just say week 8, we get Gabriel, and let's say he's looks encouraging. Is that going to stop them from drafting a quarterback? No way. No way. So it's really asset mismanagement from Cleveland for a team who should have been trying to take as many swings as possible to find guys outside of that quarterback room, because I think they're very unlikely to give a full runway here to any of the quarterbacks that they drafted. Tom, we appreciate it as always. Best of luck on what is it? Cubs money line you need?
Over.
Cubs over. Not bad. Casino Chris needs that too. We'll root for some juice. We'll be right back on Game Time Decisions.
We all know a night out at the club in Vegas can get a little bit pricey, but I've got a tip that can save you a cover fee at some of the hottest nightclubs. All you have to do is sign up online for free with a credible guest list service. Then, just show up before 10:30 and check right in. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
They lay over and die at the hands of the Minnesota Lynx, who beat them 109-78. The defense is a mess. The offense is a mess. The Vegas Aces, who I was so sold on, JY, bouncing back and being one of the absolute best teams in this league, are average at best.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Over a full season, is he going to be Mike Piazza? No, of course not. But I think he's going to be a guy who could help your team here. My only problem really with Alvarez is this, as Craig and I have talked about so many times, catcher is deep. If you're in a two-catcher league, by the way, please, for the love of God, I never understood why anybody plays in two-catcher leagues. But in a one-catcher league, who's the catcher you're dropping?
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid. Game Time Decisions here with a little PSA. If you have a friend who constantly lies about his abilities in video games, you need to sit him down. And you need to say, in this hypothetical scenario, you need to say, hey, Sam Yarnell, you got smoked in college football multiple times by multiple friends, and I think it's time for you to play a different video game. That's what you need to do, hypothetically, for your friend Sam. Speaking of Sam, let's just talk best bets here. We just want to get everything out. Even if some of this stuff is live, we need to root it in. We need the momentum. Brewers-Dodgers moneyline parlay, 1-2 step. I am trying. I just feel it. I want one of the 1-2 steps to actually 1-2 step.
Been 50-50-50 so far. Brewers are already trailing. Dodgers could be super mega free later on, though. Don't think I'm not noticing. Royals, Cubs. Need some runs out of KC for Chris. Minus 109 on an alt-team total parlay. Looking like DRS. AJ, Marlins, money line. AJ, listen, everyone says a lot of great things about AJ as a bettor, and I think a lot of them are true. But right now, he doesn't have a great read on Houston. I think we could agree on that. Astros maybe have his number. Something to watch, something to monitor. Pat, laying the run line with the Brewers. We need a double wake up there. We need an espresso shot of runs. And then Yarnell, Cowboys, Dolphins, Falcons missed the offs. Plus 224. I feel like you should be getting better on that. Low on this Miami. I don't mind it. I've heard others low on this Miami. He's not the first, won't be the last. I might be right there with him. I really might. I might be right there with him. And then moonshots. Again, some of these are already out into the atmosphere, all right? We've got Lindor, Pena, Suzuki, Yelich, 2+ hit run RBI for Chris. Jacob, Marcy. Marlins are getting shut out, so I know he hasn't homered yet. Nothing to worry about there. Then again, did he get traded to the Marlins mid-game? I mean, come on. Was Barger and Loperfido, 2+ RBI, 20-1. Don't forget to root in the Blue Jays offense tonight. A lot of love for it. Makes sense. Brenton Doyle, 2+ home runs, 55-1. I mean, that's something. That is something. How many home runs Brenton Doyle have this season? 8. Is he due for 10? He might be. He's never had a season where he hasn't hit 10 home runs. Why not tonight? Shout out Brenton Doyle. Shout out the Colorado Rockies. That team is terrible. I went with Ahmed Rosario for 2+ hit run RBI, parlayed with Abdul Carter for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I have not finalized a lot of stuff within the National Football League, but I have a lot of things that I feel, good about, strong about. What if Micah Parsons gets traded, right? What if an injury occurs? These are the kind of things that can swing stuff. But I really can't envision a world where Abdul Carter is not my Defensive Rookie of the Year pick. And I know that's chalk. Guys are booked as favorites for a reason. And Abdul Carter is rightfully booked as the favorite there. I think he's a special player. The more I think about it, too, Abdul Carter playing alongside all these other guys, the only way that does not work out is if teams actually decide Abdul Carter is the best of the bunch and they're doubling him, freeing up Thibodeau and Brian Burns to get more sacks. Dexter Lawrence obviously up the middle, but putting Carter with Rosario, I'm not mad at it. Still to come for myself tonight, we are already on the Astros money line. I'm on Diamondbacks tonight. Look, I'm not much of a Brandon Pfaadt guy. I will say I will always appreciate him bringing us the yes hitter. It is one of the all-time great performances in the history of baseball. Up against the Nationals. It didn't feel real. He didn't get an out. 6 hits, 8 earned runs. He didn't walk anybody. It was just tick, 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 tick. They scored 10 runs. That's in the first inning. It's unbelievable, man. So shout out Brandon Pfaadt, who randomly was really good that one postseason, who's not really good, but I think could step up tonight. He's been better at home, bounce back against the Padres. And then I do really like this under in the game between the Rays and the Angels, Kikuchi and Hauser. I think these are two pitchers who are solid, and I think they're better than this 8.5 total suggests. I really do. So I feel good about this under here at 8.5. I think this 8, I think it should be a flat 8, if not a 7.5, maybe expensive towards the over, but I'm good to go there. So that's where we're at, folks. That's where we're at on a Monday. It's In-Game Live next with Scott Wetzel and Gabe Morency. I'll be back tomorrow with you here on Game Time Decisions. And be on the lookout for the Kevin Walsh Show SportsGrid podcast.